Thank you for tuning into the 8th episode of What Do You Say Anime. On the docket today, I am accompanied by my lovely girlfriend Kayla, as we have just seen the new Trigger production movie, Promare. We discuss all aspects of the movie and give our takes on what we liked and disliked about the movie. Warning, this episode has very few minor spoilers, but there are some spoilers in the production of this podcast. We have brand new intro music thanks to the artist Very Sweet, whose cover of Good Morning World from Dr. Stone is one of the best anime covers I've heard in a very long time. Links to his page will be in the description. So without further ado, let's battle the flames of anime and get this party started. Hello everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the 7th episode of What Do You Say Anime. I have my lovely co-host today, Kayla. Kayla, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi everybody, it's your girl.
it's your girl and your boy.
And your boy.
And we just got back from the premiere of Promare in theaters today. We saw the English dub version of it. And for you who don't know what Promare is, it is Studio Trigger's new movie. It takes place in kind of future time. I don't know how much in the future I'd say. I think they kind of base it like 30 years from now type of time frame after a event called the Great Blast happens, where half of the population is killed by
spontaneous human combustion.
Spontaneous human combustion, where humans are blowing up everything, and it's kind of like mutants for X-Men, where it's like some of them have it and it gets out of control, half the population dies, and then we see this new like rebuilding phase afterwards of what happened after this like catastrophe of the world essentially exploding.
It's like what would happen right before a dystopian movie.
Yes. Very familiar to what's happening now in the current seasonal anime of Fire Force. Is a very similar premise, but there's a few differences with how the human combustion works. I actually preferred this version of human combustion way more than Fire Force's version of human combustion, so it was a little different take, but very similar in the aspects of firefighters fighting human combustion. So, first, we're going to jump right into the movie. And this is Kayla's first time experiencing a Trigger film/show or anything, and they have a very unique animation style. It was very bright, very unique in terms of animation. The only movie you've seen is A Silent Voice in terms of animation, so you're limited on like what you've seen, but could you tell like right away that like this style of animation was very different?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Probably for the first 3/4 of the movie, I thought it was called Trigger.
Oh, you thought the movie was called Trigger?
Yeah, because it said Trigger right at the beginning.
Yeah,
and I thought that I don't know what I thought Promare meant. I thought it was
even
a
though
Japanese word.
I texted you and talked to you about seeing the movie Promare, you've Googled Promare.
I thought that was like, I don't know, a special anime word for something. And then I was like, oh, it means trigger.
Okay.
Which made sense to me because, okay, so everybody like starts combusting when they're triggered by, you know, some like really intense feelings. So I was like, oh, that's a good name.
Damn.
But now my insight means
they should have called it Trigger. That's actually like a really good
yeah, I thought it was okay, well
anyway. Okay, but the unique art style of Trigger is it either pulls you in or pushes you away. It's very unique. If when you get familiar with anime, if you see their style of shows,
when I get familiar,
I know what I said. If you see these type of shows, you'll know right away that that's Trigger. Like, that art style is Trigger. Nobody else draws like Trigger, and this is an original. So this isn't based off of a manga or a book or a light novel. This is their completely own story. So I think this is the second original they've done. Last 2 years ago, they did Darling in the Franxx, which is a TV show you've never heard of or seen, so I know you don't care. But that was like their first first introduction to creating their own anime. So this is their first movie. Personally, I thought the animations were unbelievable. I think this is probably the best animation of any anime I've ever seen. I know that's saying a lot, since like you haven't seen Your Name, but Your Name is like widely considered like I should say it is, but like there's movies such as Your Name, Garden of Words, these like breathtaking art style shows, and I'm a big fan of Trigger's art style, and I thought this like knocked it out of the park. And I think a big part of it was that we were seeing it in a movie theater. Mm-hmm. I think if you were watching this on a laptop, a tablet, a TV, I don't think you would have gotten the experience as much as we did. And I think that added to the emphasis of how good the animation of the show was.
Yeah, I was like super impressed. Obviously, I like cartoons and whatever, but I've never seen anything with that kind of animation before.
Yes.
The only thing I could relate it to is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I think that's a really good comparison. Where that one was a little like not in all scenes, but it definitely wasn't as bright and in your face. No. But it definitely had like insane visuals. Or this one is insane visuals, but it's like they use the colored palette of like light blue, pink, like really bright colors of like all the characters and all the effects that they use, like these ice weapons essentially to fight. And so you get like the real emphasis of like the light blue ice, and then when they use fire, it wasn't red, it was like bright pink, in your face, color palette. Got it this time.
I had a hard time following it at first. It made me really dizzy.
Yeah.
Like when they were destroying things and falling over buildings.
It was a lot.
I really had a hard time orienting myself where the characters were.
I think people might actually get not like it because of how much it was. Like it was
so much.
Like a lot of times in screens, like screenshots where like it's focusing on like the main character, that area will be like really clean and polished, and then like the outside, maybe like the buildings are like looks like it's drawn in like paint or something, or it's not as beautiful because it wants you to like focus in on like what's happening in like this particular like scene in the movie. But this was like everything was polished. Like when the spoiler, there's fires and scenes of like buildings on fire, like the explosions were just like
it was a lot.
It was a lot, but I think to some people like me, I loved that, but I can also see how people would absolutely hate because their eyes are going top left corner, top right corner, bottom right corner, middle, center, left, right, to like who knows like where am I supposed to look, and I can see how that can probably drive people away from it.
Also, there was a lot of people with pointy teeth, and that was really distracting to me.
The pointy teeth?
Yeah, like all the other stuff going on, I was focusing on the people with pointy teeth, and I was like, that's scary.
Yes. Okay.
So that's what I took away from that.
You were focused on the pointy teeth, and I was focused on... Okay. We can dive into that more when we get to like the character design and stuff like that. Okay. But, I think the animations were top notch. Obviously it's different compared to other anime, because of the style that Trigger has, but I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I think that this movie is good enough. If you can see it in theaters, I think the movie itself is good enough just based off the animation. I thought it was that good. I really liked what they did in like the action scenes. I really liked what they did in just like the pizza scene, like that was just like really cool. Like how over the top, like how they're eating pizzas and stuff like that. Where I love like that style of animation too, where you can like calm it down and like these like calm scenes before things just hit the wall and shit hits the fan type of thing. So
yeah, I mean, for not seeing very much anime, I was really impressed with. Like, it felt like it was a 3D movie, but it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it felt like, at points, it felt like, I don't know, you could really tell what they were trying to emphasize. Yeah. And I thought it was cool. It was a lot at some points. And I think if you have more of a trained eye, it might be a little bit easier to watch.
Yep.
But...
And I do like your comparison with saying that it's like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because
yeah,
obviously this is an animated movie, but it just the style of it is completely different, and I loved what they did, and I was such a huge fan of it Into the Spider-Verse, and so this type of like just breathtaking animation is like I hope it like sets a new standard in like these type of movies, because I could get used to seeing stuff like that. So I give like major props for the animation.
Wait, what kind of animation is this?
I mean, it's still anime, but
well, like, is it the computer kind, or are they drawing it?
So there were minor scenes of like the CG, but it wasn't like I could show you like what CG anime looks like, and you'll be like, this is the ugliest shit I've ever seen. So it wasn't like that. It's just the style of how they draw, and if you couldn't tell, this movie probably had a huge budget where they could spend a shit ton of time drawing this. Where a lot of times where like episodes they get like a few months probably to create like a 12-episode show. This one they probably had years to make. So it was actually, I know they had years to make, and you could tell how they polished everything in this movie. Like I said, so this is your first time for like a Trigger movie. How do you like this art style compared to A Silent Voice, since that's the only other anime movie you've seen?
I thought A Silent Voice was beautiful. Like, the animation, I really liked it. It was a lot more muted. I mean, obviously, this one was some sort of action.
Yes.
You know, I don't know exactly, but that one was not action, and I don't know.
I guess you could say the art style for A Silent Voice made sense for the type of movie it was.
Yeah.
And then for this one, since this was like it's a mecha sci-fi action movie, yeah, the art style like matched what the movie was going for.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So big thumbs up for me for animation. Next, let's move into the sound and music aspect of it. I don't know how much pay attention you do for like sound and music compared to like what I do, but when movies start for me, a lot of times they just have like an opening song, and that can kind of tell you the mood it's about to set for the movie. And I think it helped once again that we were in this great movie theater with reclining seats and a really good sound system. That like right when the first opening song kicked off, I'm like, hell yeah, like this is gonna be, it's gonna kick ass right away. I could tell the mood based off of the music. And it did. I thought the opening like scene where we get introduced to like them driving down the street and like these fire trucks and everything like that would set a great like atmosphere of like what I thought the movie was going to be like. Do you remember any of that? You got like a confused look on your face right now.
Didn't it start with people spontaneously combusting?
Well, okay, that's how like the movie. That's how the movie started for sure.
Yeah, but, okay. Like, I'm confused.
The opening movie starts with like the combustion scene, but like.
There was no music in that.
The first like real scene, because the human combustion thing didn't last. That wasn't like 20 minutes long. Where like the first action scene was. That was like a introduction. Like
yeah, it was like up kind of like a back. It was important.
Okay, let me retract that. Let me say the first like scene of like the main characters and the cast.
Okay.
And like what they're doing, like the music playing, the fire truck sounding, them like. The glass shattering in like the buildings and stuff like that. I thought that was unbelievable quality. I thought it set like the mood for the rest of the movie. I thought like that was like a huge aspect of the whole movie in general going forward as well, because there was a couple scenes where like when it like slowed down, the music like kind of paced with the movie, and then towards the end, when we're starting to get towards the climax, the music's like picking up, and it really like got into the whole environment. And I thought they did like a really good job with like the music, along with like the sound effects of like the robots punching each other, the glass shattering. I thought the sounds for like the different fire trucks that they used was unbelievable. I know it's just like normal sounding fire trucks, but it felt like it was like coming right behind you, and I just loved like the whole ambiance of like really loud, obnoxious fire trucks, because fire trucks are loud, obnoxious, and they're made to be like that, because so they're coming and all this stuff. But like it felt like I was like on the street watching these fire trucks drive by. I don't know, was that an important factor for you? I guess I'm like critically thinking a little more.
I mean, I don't really like those kinds of sounds.
Okay, so this is why we have a counterbalance and a polar opposite with these type of reviews. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you like to just stand outside at like a fire station, just wait for people to be in crisis?
That's not what I meant, but like...
That's what gets you off?
No, that's not what gets me off. Okay. No, it's just how they utilize, like... I guess, like... The movie is very in your face, and the sounds would match that in your face type of ambiance that they said.
I felt not strongly at all about the sounds, so I think that means it matched whatever they were trying to do. Because I didn't like, I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't like, that's a really great fire truck. But I wasn't like, wow, that doesn't really fit what's going on.
Okay, so that's fair. And then I wasn't really expecting you to be like critically thinking about the sound of the music while we were watching this. So this is just one of these things that like it catches my eyes, where like, you haven't seen it yet, but when you do watch Your Name, the opening song to Your Name, like if I heard that like if it was like my earbuds, I could picture the beginning of the movie like to like a T. Like that's how much that song means to the opening of Your Name. And if people have seen Your Name, you know what I'm talking about. And this kind of had like that same effect, where like as soon as I heard it, like I could visualize what was going to happen based off the music, and that was like a huge factor for me. And I like when movies and shows do that. Yeah.
And I mean, that's like a real thing too. Like some people feel strongly about music and like tie memories.
Yes.
To different songs or whatever, and I think everybody does that, but it's definitely like I like music, but I don't I don't relate it to things I think as much as you would. So yes. Maybe it wasn't as important to me. It was there and it was fine.
I think just this is just from like a personal perspective. When there's a lot of like, for instance, like giant robots fighting each other, it's like the same like hard metal guitar riffs, like let's fight type of thing. But this one was like high production, like they had like vocals and like really cool music going on along with the whole movie happening, with like the fire trucks and the fights and everything. It was just one of those like little things that like I look for that maybe you don't look for type of I mean, you don't know, but like it's just all right, here's how I'm gonna compare it, since you've seen Disney movies. Like how much the song "Make a Man Out of You" in Mulan means to the movie Mulan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's how much like a music can like affect how good the movie is, because like "Make a Man Out of You" is like a huge part of this like the movie, and then I know it's like incorporates like the song happens during the movie. I'm getting like off topic, but like
I know what you're saying. Yes. I'm just saying I didn't have that effect in this movie, and that's probably largely because you've seen way more than I have, and you know what's going to happen, and you know like how this goes. Like I didn't know what to expect.
I guess the cliff note, I like that they did short the music and sound, that they went full budget on it, and it showed for it. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so next I want to talk about the characters, and especially I want to talk about the art and like the character styles. So Trigger is really known for, do you know what fan service is?
No.
So fan service is mostly directed towards boys, but it also can appeal to girls as well. But
yeah, where they're not wearing clothes.
Not wearing a lot of clothes. I guess in this, Gallo, the main character, like, doesn't really wear a shirt, so that's like the female fan service. But like the male fan service was like the girl who rides the helicopter wore like a crop top, and then So like, how do you feel about like? Did that take away from the movie from you? Like it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's all I thought about. Like when he got in that thing the first time to save people, I was like, why the fuck are you not wearing a shirt?
Yeah,
like you're going into fire and you're just gonna go there like skin showing. Like,
yes,
that's the first thing you shouldn't do.
And I'm gonna pull up a picture on my phone real quick of a character from another Trigger show, and tell me if you think it's the exact same or not, or like if you see the similarities. So does this guy look familiar?
Yes.
Okay, so
his face
I showed her a picture of Kamina from Gurren Lagann. I know you haven't heard of it, but that's a Trigger show.
Okay.
The guy who directed this movie directed Gurren Lagann. So this is one of those like cameos I was talking to you about where, okay, this character is obviously based off this guy Kamina.
Yeah.
Because it's like, instead of his hair, this dude's hair's down,
it's
the guy in the movie,
color.
his hair's up. So it's like, I felt like they kind of like got lazy on the character design. I thought it was kind of BS that the main character looks exactly like Kamina, and I like that he's supposed to be like this cool, spunky, like kind of dumb, like hero douchebag that
it's
we
like
can all root for,
because
that's what Kamina is kind of like in Gurren Lagann. I think he's a way better character than the guy in Promare. You can direct that. I thought some of the other characters were... If you've seen Trigger shows, there are a lot of copy and pasting. I really did not... It wasn't just Gallo, the main character. It was other characters that are exactly like other Trigger characters. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like an homage to like other Trigger characters, or if that is supposed to be like just cameos, or if they just got lazy. But either way, I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't like that. I wish you have this huge-ass budget to make this fantastic movie, and you copy-pasted the characters. Even there's like a split scene of like the rat.
Yeah.
That is from Little Witch Academia, so it's just like, that's another cameo. Even like the rat is a copy and paste character. It's like, come on.
It's a bummer, because he was my favorite character.
Yeah, the only character that like really wasn't was the captain, but he really wasn't in the movie for that long. Yeah. So it's like the main characters were copy and pasted, but like the side characters weren't. Like, it was just like, it just seemed really lazy to me. Compared to other Trigger movies, the fan service was not even close to as bad. Like, you should see how bad the other fan service. There's a show called Kill la Kill where essentially they're fighting in like bras and underwear the whole time. It's actually one of the reasons why I dropped the show, because I love like Trigger's art style and their action, but like their fan service is so over the top, it literally like killed the show for me. And a lot of people love Kill la Kill, and they can look past the fan service, but they definitely toned it down compared to their other shows. So
like, why though? Like, why do people like to watch that?
So a lot of these shows the genre is called shonen. Shonens are mostly like action-based shows targeted 12 to 18-year-old males. So, what do 12 to 18-year-old males like? They like...
Animated characters?
Animated characters showing skin, essentially.
That doesn't even make sense, though.
Ask a 12 to 18-year-old boy. Because I think if I watched, like, these fan service shows when I was, like, 18, I think I might like it more compared to me now, where I'm, like, I'm looking for more than just, like, big old tits in my face type of thing.
But they're fake. They're not even fake. They're just, like, drawn.
Yeah, they're 2D titties, but, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
But people like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not going to front act like I don't like it, but, like, when it's, like, in your face all the time, it draws me away from the show. This was not even close to as bad as their other shows. So I do like that they toned down the fan service, but I think, like, the character design of, like, having the fan service is just lazy. Like, I think that they could easily draw, like, really cool, like, suits, these fire suits for male or female characters, and there's, like, male shirt off, lady crop top, short shorts, leggings. It's just, like... I mean, it's anime. It happens a lot in anime.
Yeah, I know that's a thing, and, like, I guess since I'm not familiar with that, that wasn't really an issue for me when I was watching it as the characters. You know, I wasn't distracted by them.
I was more put off by the copy and pasting of their other shows than the fan service / like wardrobe, costumes, whatever you want to call it, that they're wearing. So, how about the mechs? Did you think the mechs were cool? The robots and like they used to fight. They're called mechs. How do you like the mechs in general, or like the art style from those?
I don't know. It reminded me of Transformers.
Yes, it did.
I don't know. They seemed really over the top, and it was nice that they color-coded them. Like, if they were fire or ice, because that helped me tell them apart when they were fighting. I thought the dragons were cool.
The dragons were cool.
The fire dragons were pretty sick. I don't know. I don't care that much about fighting scenes, though, so I was just like there's one point in the middle where there's just, like, a really long fighting scene, and I was like, okay.
Was that when they're in, like, the ship?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel ya.
I was just like, all right, I get it. You're fighting. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
Like, let's move on.
I, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of mechs. I'm not the biggest fan of, like, long fight scenes like this. But I thought they killed it. I thought the fight... Because they did a really good job of, like... It's not just pure chaos the whole time. When they're, like... what was it? Like... Gallo de Leon or whatever. When they're, like, naming their mechs and their moves and stuff during the fight. I thought that was a really good form of, like, comic relief during, like, this tense scene. Because Trigger's known for having, like, really good comedy in these, like, very tense, serious moments. And I thought they did a really good job of continuing their, like, tradition of being over the top, having amazing fight scenes with giant robots, along with having, like, the wherewithal of being, like, they know this is over the top, so let's add some comedy into the fights.
Yeah, I really liked that, too. They were just, like, in the middle of an intense fight, and they'd be like, you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
Or something, and it, like, broke the tension, and you're like, oh, okay.
My favorite, this will be a slight spoiler, but I'm not going to say the villain's name, but the villain's like, could you stop naming things during the fight? And then he hits him, and he's like, how'd you like that pile driver, or that super pile driver I did to you? It's like, he immediately names his move.
Yeah.
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That was super funny. They kind of, I guess we could talk about, no, I want you to talk about this. Just for a little bit, but, like, I thought, like, not just the characters, but, like, the animations on the mechs, the buildings, just everything in it was, like, really vibrant, very bright, continuing with the theme of the show. I thought overall they did a fantastic job with, like, I'm trying to think of a word. I thought they just did, like, a really good job with, like, the world building and everything that went into the world type of thing. Mm-hmm. And the dragons were badass. Yeah. I love the dragons.
That was my favorite part.
Okay, and now let's jump into, how about the overall story of the show? Or, sorry, of the movie. So, it takes place 30 years after the Great Blast, or whatever they call it, the 30-year blast. Mm-hmm. And we transition to a story of the main character, Gallo, becoming, like, this superstar firefighter and trying to solve... I don't want to do any spoilers, because I don't think we did that many spoilers, so I don't want to do, like, a whole spoiler show.
Okay.
Of him trying to help out the world he lives in while being conflicted with the people who could still spontaneously combust, essentially. So how did you like the story and, like, the dynamic of all of that coming together?
I thought the idea was really interesting. I think that this particular movie did a lot. I liked the story a lot better than A Silent Voice. Just in the way that this one doesn't really, like, explain to you how you're supposed to think of things. Yes. Like, I mean, it kind of does it at some points, but it it's a lot more like it shows you what's going on and you put things together and it like helps the story move along instead of them stopping and being like, this is how you should feel. This is what this actually means and whatever. So I appreciated that. I thought that was well done.
Yep. Have you seen like the newer X-Men, like Days of Futures Past and stuff like that?
No,
where like
I don't think so.
They kind of, that one dives into like the social aspect of being a mutant in X-Men, where like they're like discriminated against type of thing. Where now we're in this world where the people who can spontaneously combust are just trying to like, a lot of them are just trying to live their life, and they're trying to control like who they are, and they're being like hunted down essentially. So like they're like being like, it's like prejudice, and there's all these like social things that are going on. I wish they could explore that a little bit more. I think they did like in the pizza shop part. I thought that was really good because I really didn't see that coming in the type of show or the type of movie that it started out as, because it made it seem like people who are spontaneously combust are terrible people. I would say terrible people. They're villains. They're blowing up shit, and then they're like, well, they're not that bad, and then they kind of leads into a scene where they shows like they're not that bad, but people are still like, oh, this pizza is made by whatever they're called, like burners or something like that, and just like gross, like,
yeah,
I can't believe I touched this type of thing, and like it was kind of like a cool like social thing that they added into like this over the top action show. So stuff like that was like, I like that they got the bits and pieces in there. I wish that they added more like comedy into the beginning and middle. The middle was slow. There was a lot of like time where they easily could have had like funny character interactions with the story. I know it's like building towards this climactic end, but it seems like they missed some pieces that they could have made it. Because I started yawning. I think you were a little tired in the movie theater too, where it's like, can you pick it up? Like, I understand that you need like slow parts to build to the climax, but like it's getting a little long. You could have added like comedy or something. But the end was like super funny, I thought, at the end. Like the comedy was like on point when they were like fighting the main villain, and then just like all the interactions between the main characters were like really funny. I liked how they like, he was like making fun of his like choice of like what's cool and like what's not cool. He's like, fine, okay, I'll make this for you since you think it's cool type of thing.
Yeah.
I like that part, and then the whole climax at the end was like, it was pretty. I mean, it was like you could probably predict what was going to happen, but I thought they like, as long as they like execute it well, it's fine. I thought they executed it pretty well overall for the story.
Yeah, it's interesting because I knew right away from that beginning, like scene before your beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like what was gonna happen. But probably because I've seen a lot of movies like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I figured that the plot was going to take the turns that it did. So I appreciated that they kind of called it out in that pizza scene. Like, they called it out right away.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like... I was like, I hope that you're not going to make this twist happen right now because... Or, like, you're not going to make this the main twist because it's pretty obvious. And they didn't do that. So I was pleased with that. And... I mean, I thought I didn't have any expectations going into this movie. I didn't know what it was about, even though I Googled it and kept getting things on Facebook, like, for this movie and whatever, but I didn't know what it was going to be about, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I don't actively search out, if this was like a show, I wouldn't actively search it out. Maybe if somebody recommended it to me, I would maybe check it out eventually. But I thought this movie did a really good job of what it wanted to do. I was happy I went and saw it. I would recommend it to anybody who's a fan of like mechs and action and Trigger. And even if you're like kind of on the fence of shows like this or movies like this, I think this one was far and beyond one of the best ones I've seen. Very Gurren Lagann-like, very Kill la Kill-like, very Trigger-like. So if you're a fan of Trigger and those type of shows, then Gurren Lagann's one of my favorite shows of all time. I highly recommend this to you. So, let's get to our personal ratings of the show. So we do a scale from 1 to 10. Kayla, do you want to go first? What you would give this movie?
Am I basing it on the one episode of a volleyball anime I've seen and a silent voice?
I guess you can just... That's your... For right now, in your point in your life, you base it off of the one anime movie and one anime episode you have seen, and just whatever you felt that this movie deserves.
Okay.
And then I can be like the critical anime guy on the side after you're done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have it. I can't compare it to other movies because it's not fair. It's in a completely different...
How about you try compare it to like Transformers or something?
Well, I don't really like Transformers.
Okay, that's fine. You can compare. You could say this movie was not good.
Are you gonna break up with me if I say that?
No, I will not break up with you.
Good.
Over this.
I'll break up with you first. Make me watch any more.
I mean, I'm shocked that you're still with me. So
I'll run away. Anyway, probably like a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was the best part and what was the worst part of the movie?
I thought that the animation probably was the best part. I'm still on those dragons. They were sick. Yeah. All of the things they did with like the fire and ice fighting was really cool.
Yep. And for me, I gave it a 9. I thought, like I said, I think this is one of, if not the best animation of any anime I've ever seen. I think it was that good. I thought the story for what it was trying to do was great. I thought the fight scenes were unbelievable. The things like nitpick on, I thought the characters were lazy. The designs were super lazy. The middle of the movie was slow. I'm really glad this was a movie and not like a 12-episode show, because then like episodes like 5 through 8 would have been just a snooze fest, and then people would like drop the show because it would have been boring. So I think, man, in terms of trigger, Gurren Lagann is my all-time favorite, so this is probably my second favorite. I guess if you count Neon Genesis is my second favorite, so this is like third. I thought this was really good trigger stuff. I also think my score is because we saw it at a movie theater. I think if I watched this on like a tablet or my TV, I think it'd be a 7 or an 8, because I don't think you would have gotten the animation or sound quality that we got. So I do want to emphasize that seeing this in a movie theater is a big deal. Big deal. I think you probably would have fell... Let's be honest, you would have fell asleep if...
Oh, I 100% would have fallen asleep
if it wasn't a movie theater. Even in a movie theater, you're close, but like...
I've definitely fallen asleep
I think, but like, for as big as an anime nerd I am, I was also getting tired in that middle part, so... Yeah. I think that was a kind of a blow, but like, we don't do decimal points, so like... Yeah, it'd be like an 8.6 or something like that if we're doing decimal points, but like, I'm gonna round it up to a 9. I thought it was that good.
Wow.
Even though we don't do decimal points. Even though we don't do decimal points, I just did.
Yeah, 8.6, no decimal points.
Yeah, so. Okay. But, highly recommended. If you can see this in theaters, please go see it in theaters. Or, if you have a friend with like a 4K TV or something like that, when the movie gets released on like Blu-ray or a streaming site, go watch it. Alright, so that's our wrap up, episode 7. Kayla, thanks for being an absolute trooper and seeing another movie with me. This might be the last episode because you'll probably break up with me if I force you to any more anime movies, but I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate everybody for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.